Hello. And hello, Einen Makino. Wow, I think this is the first time that I've ever had someone be here right from the very beginning, so good job. Alright, let me make sure everything's adjusted right because I'm running a little late here. I'm glad that you're that excited. We'll get going here. Okay. So this is basically the patch that we had going last time. Ah, you did. Great. Great. I'm glad you did. And, you know, continuing with the theme from last time of that modular is ephemeral and so forth, there were definitely more than a few things that I forgot to save that I had to like sort of reinitialize before this, like most of the samples and other things like that, but I think that everything's generally in the state that it was in last time, mostly, but I can't guarantee it because it's modular. So yeah, we had this last time. We also had this in here. We had some of, oh, not that. Sorry. Part 2. Had some of this. Assume you're in possession of your own modular set. Awesome. Are you, when you say that, are you buying something that someone had already like built up, or are you just, have you planned out all the modules you're gonna get? This doesn't quite sound the same, but starting to sound really spooky, this thing, actually. So we had that, and then we had this switch thing set up that I'm still not 100% convinced is actually working. I think I didn't save the mode or something here. Yes, now we got it. Little pings that we still haven't clocked or anything yet, but mapped out a case of 10 modules that's rather specifically designed. Cool. Very cool. So 10 modules, I'm guessing like a single row of 104 HP or maybe an 84 HP. What are you using it for? Okay. So I'm going to get back to the idea of what I had before, which was without this to start, starting with just the drone, which I'm still not 100% convinced I pitched the same way as I did last time. Actually, maybe let's do a reminder of everything that we've got going in here, and then I'll inevitably find things that were wrong. So the drone is pitched from track 3, but I'm just using it to play a note out. Right, it's got modulation on the index and on the wave width or whatever it is in the wave folder from marbles, which I actually need to clock these together at some point, but we'll do that later. And then we're blending the stepped triangle, the wave folder, and the multiply output together, but we're fading the multiply output in and out via an LFO. Otherwise, they're all getting mixed together, then coming out and going through the endorphins, Squawk Dirty in. Oh, this is in comb filter mode. Then we come out of that and go into the Milky Way in, I can't remember what mode. Yeah, I totally can't remember what mode. I think it's one of the reverbs, maybe. And then we come out of that into the mixer. 2 rows focused around merge Morphagene R-bar shapeshifter for its vocoding abilities and field effects support it and use record live instruments and voices and modify them. Cool. I've never heard of merge. What's that? Okay, so I think that's the drum. Oh yeah, and then the CSL itself is cross-modulated on that sub thing, which I believe control is makes it cross-modulate, or not cross-modulate, sorry, that's the wrong word. It modulates the bottom oscillator with the top oscillator by merging the 2 sine waves together before it's sent into the wave folder. I think that's what it's set up as. Merge allows you to plug in guitar or other audio inputs. Okay, yeah, very similar to my little line-in thing that I've got going on up here. Oh, so it'll do like an envelope modular, or envelope follower rather. That's cool. Yeah. I'm not much of a live instrument guy, so I have my kalimba and my guitar that I both play badly. Sometimes I throw them in here, but alright, so that's the drone. Then this sound is pitched again by just a random pitch a pitch that I chose out of the vector sequencer. It's into plats and chord mode and directly out, but when it comes into the mixer, it's just going in on pre-fader reverb. So you don't hear any of the dry sound at all, and we're modulating the harmonics and the morph. The morph's being modulated by LFO. The harmonics, we've got a little sequence here coming out of stages that's gated by a marbles output. All this does is change it between, I believe, the major and the major 7th chords, so sometimes it does it faster than I'd like, but that's what it is so far. So turn the gain down on that. This so this is an interesting one. Oh, okay, you also put a rainmaker in there. Notice you have both Morphagene and rainmaker. Wondering if you could use Morphagene to play some spoken words and turn them into a chord with the rainmaker to see if it works as I hope. And maybe pitch shift that chord with a sequencer or something. When you talk about making them into a chord with the rainmaker, are you talking about like that one doing a bunch of delay taps that are all shifted like a, I don't know, your spoken word is in C and you shift it like a 3rd and a 5th. Okay. Let's see what we can do with that. Yeah, we can actually, I think, no, I don't have that splice in Morphagene anymore, but I had a splice that had spoken word, so we can try that. But this, let me finish going over everything in here first, and then we can switch to that. So this is a sample of a kalimba that was played into the Morphagene and now is being run through the Morphagenes out entirely, just Morphagenes out. It goes out through the pedal IO to, let's see if I can get it over here without messing anything up. Mr. Super Ego. The volume of my voice is relatively high compared to the modulator. Okay, let me see if I can fix that in a sec. Is that any better? Hopefully. But yeah, the Super Ego is giving us this, which is basically a really smeared version of what's coming out from Morphagene, because it just picks up on random positions in it and extends it out like to make a like a synthy sound. This is the dry input from Morphagene. Morphagene, by the way, has the new firmware in it. Thank you for the follow, Zymertrax 2183. Lots of new people around these days. It's great to see. So that's the dry out of the Morphagene, and it's set up right now to actually shift, I think, in reverse a third and reverse a fifth or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's doing, but I know they're definitely in reverse, and they're not the default ones that happen when you turn Morph all the way up. So yeah, but I mixed that somewhere around like 50-50. Might do it a little more actually, just to get a little bit of variation to it. So that was one other thing. And then this sound, part 2. Oh, I need to switch the there. Maybe. Now I'm actually getting a lot of noise out of the modular. Can't turn it up too far. There's some noisy modules in here. The Lo-Fi Junkie, especially this guy up here, is very noisy. So you have to be careful about gain with it. Now, why am I not getting what I want out of here? Gate's going in there. Its output's going into rings. Rings is being triggered. Pitch is coming from there. Output's going into there. I don't know. Just a sec. Oh. I know why. Right, because all of this is going in on the right-hand channel, or, well, I guess I think I swapped the channels, but it's the left-hand channel of Squawk Dirty, so that you get it nice and panned. Interesting. This particular sound is a sample of birds being played out from the assimilator into the input of rings that goes out through Lo-Fi Junkie, through a switch, so it can just for switching purposes later on, and then out into the right-hand side of the Squawk Dirty and through that same chain of through the Milky Way and out. My thinking was that if you want to shift pitch within Morphagene, you'll also have to slow down the sample, but I figured doing it in Rainmaker will sound differently. Yes, I believe that you're right. I don't think that Morphagene does time stretch or anything like that. So yeah, when you pitch the sample in Morphagene, you're right. It does have to change the length of the sample. So, alright, that was what we had, but let's try your idea. Because, I don't know, maybe we'll find something interesting in here. So, I will temporarily disconnect. What was this sound? And we will, if I can just remind myself the commands, because make noise modules are not intuitive. Alright, I need to make a... So we're not modulating organizer slides, so I can just make a new splice. Hold record and press brace to record to a new splice. Okay, so let's first find ourselves that spoken word thing that I had from a previous stream. So we want channel 7. That's not what we want. So, okay, I think it would be in here. Nope. Maybe it was in my January 8th one. Oops.
Nature.
This
by
one.
George MacDonald.
Okay, load this in. So,
Mother Nature.
let's just adjust the sample start a little bit. Doesn't really matter where exactly.
Donald. Read for LibriVox.
Good, that works. Now we have a non-paused version. We'll do it one shot so we can record more easily. Yeah, thanks, Elvis there. I was not expecting it to sound so good through rings, but I guess it's like you know, because they're like they're squawking or whatever. There's a lot of like silence and not silence, and I think it gives rings something good to resonate off of, is the feeling that I get, which is cool because I've not really done anything that's been that great with rings resonator before. So okay, so we're gonna take that. I'm gonna use a shorter cable because we don't need anything long. Is this a is this a stereo sample? It is. So let's sample into Morphagene in stereo. Since we have a whole stereo chain with Rainmaker, we might as well. Okay, so let's just take this. Okay, so this has to go through Rainmaker. We'll just keep it dry for now. I don't have anything else running in Rainmaker, so that's good. By the way, that the modular commands are still hooked up, so if you want to adjust the resonance of the filter that's running the drone, do feel free. Somebody, I can't remember who it was, I think it was Jeff for Real, was messing with it a lot last time and found some settings that hurt your ears and some settings that were very good. Okay, so we're coming out there, and then we'll come out of Rainmaker. Very cool, by the way, that you're making an instrument processing rig. I wish I would see more bands out there that are sort of doing that. They don't have to be fully modular, but they're at least adding something in, because it's really neat. Okay, so we're coming in on 8. We'll turn off the reverb so you don't get anything artificial out of this. What a hiss, jeez. Okay, turn it all the way dry. Yeah, totally. This is something that I intend on doing a hell of a lot more of once it's not, you know, minus 20 Celsius and snowy out here and I can actually go outside. I'm going to do a lot of sampling this summer and bring that back. Because, I mean, I've got this whole assimilator that I have done lots of things with, but not as much as I'd like. And I'd really like to be able to get a whole ton of samples and mangle them. And I've honestly been considering, yeah, actually, you'll have to let me know when you get your modulars together, and about Morphagene versus R-bar, because R-bar seems more, I don't know, it's not really like Morphagene, it's more like Clouds, but it also seems easier to use than Morphagene. So, and I really like the idea of that built-in mic, so that I don't have to like hook up everything. I can just like hold my kalimba up and play. Like, so yeah, definitely let me know. Okay, so let's just make sure our signal path is good here first.
Donald. Red for LibriVox.
Good. Okay. So we're coming all the way through. So let's start by just getting a small sample of that, and we'll just loop it in Morphagene so that we can see the chord effect happen. As you use them together, so you can harmonize one granularly modulated sample with another, and they're both modulated differently. If they feel they have their own role to play. So are you intending on, like, you're gonna take your acoustic signal path and you're gonna at some point you'll record one part of it into Morphagene, and then at some point you'll record another part of it into R-bar, and like sort of play them off each other? Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. If you record any of that, I would definitely love to hear it, because that sounds really interesting. Shapeshifter, yeah. I've never worked with Shapeshifter before, just because it seems like such a menu divey module, and I'm not a huge fan of that. But yeah, to be honest, I also am not hugely familiar with how vocoders work. So yeah, interesting. I assume you're going to use voice in the vocoder mode, right? Or you're going to put whatever you want into it. Okay, so let's get a small sample of this. We got to cut the morph back, gene size back. Remind me how to record into a new slice again. Hold record plus splice. Okay. So let's do this.
Donald. Read for LibriVox.org by Capricia Page.
Okay, make sure we got this. So, where's the second splice?
Org by Capricia Page. Vox.org by Capricia Page. Vox.org by Capricia Page. Vox.org by Capricia Page. Vox.org by Capricia Page.
Might have overwritten my previous splice. It's okay. We'll figure it out.
Org by Capricia Page.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. It's just
by Capricia
classically
Page.
in voice, right?
By
Okay.
Capricia Page.
So let's get this.
By Capricia.org.
Just a small slice of it, so we can see if we can make this chord sound. And we'll let them stay separate for the moment. Okay, so Rainmaker. Let's just load up an empty preset so we can do this. From scratch. Yeah, I definitely get that impression. I debate whether I might like the R bar better. I'm not sure. Because to be honest, I haven't been using the clouds very much lately. I don't know if it's just what I've been doing or what, but... Okay, before this gets annoying, let's add some taps. So do you want to try this, and then do you want to try this as like really short taps, so you get like sort of almost immediate chord effect, or do you want like a strummed chord effect so that we actually spread out the taps?
By Capricia.
So that you can still recognize the words. Okay, so we'll spread them way out then. So
by Capricia.
Let's see.
By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia.
We don't need to stack anything. We'll deal with the delays and stuff later.
By Capricia.
We'll make sure that the feedback goes all the way to all of the taps.
By Capricia.
We won't actually pitch the feedback itself. The rest of this should be okay. So we'll do like the 4, 8, 12, and 16. That'll give you a sort of straight time delay. So let's just turn these taps on first.
By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia.
Or let's make each one of these 10, sure.
By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia.
Okay, and just
by Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia.
Feedback down.
By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia.
Okay, you can basically just distinguish the words for the most part.
By Capricia.
Let's all right, now we gotta pitch shift these. So if we've got 4 taps, so we could do, this is in semitones, right? So we could do like 3rd, a 5th, a 7th, and an octave or something like that. So a 3rd one, it's like 4 semitones.
By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia.
And
by Capricia.
7 semitones.
By Capricia. By Capricia.
And then
by
what is
Capricia.
it? 11 semitones, right?
By Capricia. By Capricia.
And then 12 semitones.
By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia.
Or of course we could, I feel like maybe one of these does better.
By Capricia. By Capricia.
Maybe these 2 down instead of up.
By Capricia. By Capricia.
Actually, I like that one better up.
By
Maybe
Capricia.
this one down.
By
7
Capricia.
semitones.
By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia.
Yeah, so of course now you could
By Capricia. By Capricia. By Capricia.
Oh yeah, of course. So the problem you're going to have to run into with this is that if you add any delay feedback into this, the delay will get fed back into the same taps and then re-pitched again. So. Yep. That's all right. So we'll make the delay time shorter.
By Capricious. By Capricious. By Capricious. By Capricious.
How do I do the?
By Capricious. By Capricious.
How do I do the BPM on this?
By Capricious. 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 By Capricious.
More like that.
By Capricious.
Of course, we could clock this for real, but and make it some division of that. But
By Capricious.
and similarly, I could have placed the taps closer too to make it.
By Capricious. By Capricious.
This is just they're evenly spaced taps, so they're like on every beat essentially afterwards. But you could have I could have done like tap 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you would have got like right away chord out of it.
By Capricious. By Capricious. By Capricious. By Capricious. By Capricious. By Capricious.
Curious about if the comb filter would have done anything interesting there.
By Capricious. By Capricious. By Capricious.
If I change the root of the chord, the whole chord should change. Yes, I mean, of course, the problem will be that be aware that trying to play Morphagene in volt per octave is very hard. It's tuning the, even if you have it in the volt per octave mode for tuning vary speed so that it actually tracks volt per octave is really tough. Can you play Rainmaker that way? You can change the comb filter's volt per octave. But and you can pitch shift the whole thing, but I don't know if the pitch shift on Rainmaker tracks volt per octave. It's like alright, let's go full wet. Yeah, so like, I mean, I don't know if this will track volt per octave, but it's definitely maintaining chord structure, I think. That's kind of cool. Now if you like shift around, slide. Oh man, that's cool. That's a cool rhythmic effect. Alright, let's try to see if it tracks volt per octave. Okay, so let's just drop this back to what it was. Yeah, it's going to be tough because the pitch shift, given that the pitch shift input has a attenuator, I would suspect it doesn't, but let's see. Longer cable for this. Okay, we'll use track 4. Okay, part 4. Yeah, it's definitely not tracking volt per octave. There's multiple notes I can play on the keyboard that don't track it. It's true, you can. I think, honestly, you might be best off if you really want to play this like with a keyboard and you can't control the pitch of the input. You might have to have something like a sampler, or record whatever you're doing in C and get a sampler that, like the assimilator or something like that, that can repitch and track volt per octave. Let's see, how else could you get this to be volt per octave? We assume that what's coming out of Morphagene is in C, just to make this simpler, because otherwise it's really hard. Trying to think if disting can do that. I don't think it can, but let's see. I like that pitch, that shifted down one. It's almost like a little bass line. I'm just looking through Disting's algorithms, see if I can find anything that might be able to do that. Because, yeah, that's a pretty unique thing, being able to resample audio into another pitch like that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly what I'm plugged into right now. This guy down here. Make this bigger. This guy's the pitch shift input on the Rainmaker. So it's not tracking volt per octave, for sure not tracking volt per octave. So, I mean, I know that Morphagene, how is it intended to be used? To give some amount of pitch shift. I don't imagine it's intended to be played. Considering it has an attenuator on it, like, it's gotta be, oops, move these cables. Yeah, like there's an attenuator for it right here. It's got to be just used for small amounts of shifts. Like, even if you look at the overall pitch shift in like the feedback module here, like it's out of 15. I don't know why, but I don't know if you can even read that screen. I gotta figure out how to get this webcam to work better with LCD screens, because it really doesn't do a good job with them. But yeah, I don't think you can use it. Well, I mean, just based on what I was just doing there, I don't think it will track full per octave, unless maybe it might be, actually could be, hang on. Sometimes you need to use, if you leave attenuators at noon, that's when you start getting things tracking properly. Because I know that the inputs on Rainmaker, noon on the inputs is unity gain, so alright, maybe that'll be it. Let's just see. No, it's still not tracking the DEF. Do you hear any difference between anything I'm playing right here? Maybe there's a slight difference, but it's certainly not. That is like D, E, F, G, or I mean E, F, G, A, B, and C. Yeah. I mean, you could definitely change it. There's no doubt about that. It's just you wouldn't be able to. It doesn't seem like you'll be able to use any keyboard or source of like volt per octave quantized stuff and use that to change the pitch in a way that you expect, I guess. But I mean, that doesn't mean that you couldn't do something like, you know, like I've done with stages before, like set up a sequence of unquantized pitch and you know, figure out a few things that sound good and do it that way. Yeah, I don't beyond changing the pitches of the individual taps, I don't know that it can be in the way that you're wanting it to. I mean, other than, let's see if we can make this work. You could utilize the comb filter, but you're only going to pitch the comb. Let's see if I can make this delay into comb stereo. Feedback. We're gonna see about comb clock here. Okay. Why? Don't want any of the modulators. Might need a gain. Yeah, it's the gain. So the comb has a 1 volt per octave in. I don't know if it will track it. I haven't actually messed around with this in here very much. See if we can find out. Yeah, we definitely are getting a weird ass sound. Supposedly meant to clock volt per octave or track volt per octave, but I'm not really sure how that works, to be honest. Whoa. That's interesting. Okay, sorry. I have to modulate something. I have to modulate that slide now because this is just too interesting. Just steal one of these LFOs for a moment. Come back to it. Not doing as many interesting things as I might have hoped. Okay, now how about... Oh. No, it's still not tracking volt per octave. I don't know, there is supposedly some way of making comb track volt per octave, but that's only going to influence sort of like the harmonic overtones. You're still going to get the same... well, I guess unless you... Not... Trying to think about the routing. Merged together is not going to be helpful. Actually, if you did it this way, if you set up the routing, I don't know if you can read it, you probably can't, but the routing is set up for, previously the routing was set up delay into comb, but if you set up the routing of comb into, so the routing right now is set up comb into delay instead, so it should apply the comb filter first and then run it through the delay taps. If you could, if we could make this track volt per octave, I don't know why it's not, but if you could, which you should be able to on the comb side, then you could pitch the comb before it goes into the delay and maybe get closer to what you want. Still don't know why it's not actually tracking volt per octave. It's very odd. I'll just make sure. Yeah, it's definitely not tracking it right now. I don't know. I don't understand how comb filters work really, so that's definitely probably part of it. Alright, cool. Well, I'm glad that was helpful. I am gonna go back to the previous patch if that's cool. Yeah, something like that spectral 4MS's resonator. Yeah, I mean, as long as you made it as 100% wet, because I think that I've never owned one, but I believe that you can make each of the individual like harmonics track volt per octave in that module. So that's a possibility, but you are going to get a very uniform sound, right? Because all the harmonics are all like sine wave based, right? So it'll be hard to get, although you'd be able to pitch it, it'd be hard to get a different sound out of it. It's going to sound relatively similar no matter what input you put into it. I mean, like, it'll definitely be different, but you'd be able to recognize words. Yeah. If you're using it only for spoken word, I think you'd be okay. I more mean like that there might not, if you were to send like a guitar into it or a piano, there'd be differences because of how the harmonics are generated, I think, but I don't think that they'll be as intense a difference as just like raw piano and raw guitar, right? Because the if you're running both of those into a multiband resonator and you were running entirely wet, they'd all be just like harmonics and sine waves in different places based on the input signal, right? But it wouldn't entirely, or it wouldn't have quite the same depth as the original sound did. Yeah. But yeah, for just words, I don't see why that wouldn't work. Yeah. Although that module is huge and might be a bit overkill, you might want to look into. Actually, you might. Let's just try this quick. Just as for example, you might be able to use rings. Let's just see. Let's see. We'll have to go in mono, but we send it into, I don't know how well tuned this particular rings is right now, but if we send it into there and then come out, oops, on the cable. Yeah, totally. That's I agree. There's a million different ways to do things, and it's always interesting when you find a new way. Okay, so let's just make sure. Let's see if we can make it still distinguish the words, though. I'm just going to turn the delay rate down again so we can hear. Yeah. Let's just change the routing back to what we had before. It might be that rings is influencing this too much, and then you can't hear the because like that's rings dry right now. Oh, that's cool. You can almost hear it. I really like this. Especially messing with the shape control. One of my favorite modular YouTube videos ever. They do a whole bunch of just manually messing with the shape control. But anyway, let's see if we can. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. So we should be able to pitch shift this. Loud. I don't think though that it's gonna shift the this is purely rings dry right now. If we add in the rainmaker, holy crap, that's cool. So it's more of a gradual pitch shift, but yeah, that's like a seventh. Here's a fifth. So you're not actually pitch shifting the original voice. The original voice stays in its key, but we're resonating off the voice and then pitch shifting that resonance all over the place. That's especially rich right on the root note, but it makes sense, I guess. Doesn't work so well in really low octaves, but since we've got the... Yes, you can definitely alter the chord. I want to turn the delay time up again. Or down again, rather. If you really... It might be tough, like, if I was doing this and I wanted to still hear the original voice, I would probably take the original voice out of the Morphagene, through a buffered mult, split it, send it through ring/rainmaker completely wet, and then mix that after the fact with the dry voice. Because otherwise it gets a little lost. I'm gonna have to remember this. I'm gonna try this with more spoken word samples, because Rings is really, really nice with that, and then adding in the rainmaker was really cool. Yeah, just remember that if you're ever sending audio signals and you want them to really be in tune with each other, you have to use a buffered multiple, because if you just if I just split this with like a splitter cable or whatever, it'll lose some of the voltage, and so you'll either get a quieter sound or a sound that's slightly off pitch, and especially bad with pitch CVs. So something like where's my buffer? It's down here. Anyway, that's super cool. True. Yeah, it's true. I mean, in general, I think it matters very little, but just something to be aware of. All right. I'm gonna go back to what I had before here. That was a fun little side experiment. I'm definitely gonna try that some more. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to re-record that splice in Morphagene because it disappeared for some reason on me. But that's easy. Okay. I just took one of these. Whoops. Yeah, for sure. No. That's half of the reason that I do this in live streams, and it's really nice to have someone in here who's interested enough. You're actually the first person in any of my streams who's ever been like, hey, can we try doing X, Y, and Z? And like, I am more than happy to do that, because the more ideas that come in, the more interesting new things I learn, the more interesting new things you learn. That's half of what modular is, I think. Yeah, please do. Please do. If you hear anything, like, go nuts. Okay, so what else do I need to do to get back to where we were before? Still need this. This will be hooked up from Morphagene in a minute here. Let's just get this. Try coming in through here. Okay, so this was the... Yeah, we definitely lost that last splice, but that's okay. I just need to find our previous... Here's my nice kalimba sample I had. Just single notes, I don't want that. Must have been back in a previous folder here. Let's see. General idea behind my selection of modules. I want almost everything to be self-contained. Like, I use pedals and I like them because they're portable, but I want this whole thing to be able to, well, actually, the number one limitation for this is if me and my wife travel somewhere, I want to be able to take these both on the plane without having to worry about it. Or I want to be able to take everything that I want to do music stuff with on a plane without having to worry about it, which means at maximum 2 carry-on size cases, which means these 2 cases. And then I add in pedals for effects and stuff like that just because I can basically throw pedals in a bag and it doesn't really matter as much as something crazy like this. So that's the first limitation. And that spawns into the next limitation of I want to be able to do everything in here. That's why I have the performance mixer. Huge though it is, it means I don't have to have an external mixer and stuff like that. I'm trying to build this into a case that's focused on being able to do longer live performances. So I'm starting to add things like I want to add some more dedicated switches. Once I get my TET in for the tetrapad, it'll be a dedicated source of like preset voltage banks and things like that. Definitely not any style. I'm focusing on ambient here. I mean, the only thing I have in here that can play drums really, aside from like Platt's drums mode, is the assimilator. So yeah, I'm generally staying away from that. I want it to be ambient focused. I'm trying to stick in the effects that I have in here. Generally, I'm trying to stick to effects that are like unique to the Eurorack space, like Rainmaker. You won't find that in a pedal. Definitely not. Lo-Fi Junkie, I'm already considering removing this as a module and replacing it with the pedal because I don't really use it that much. I don't really use the CV inputs that much. 2HP Verb is just because it's a great reverb and it's only 2HP. So you'd use your DAW for drums, yeah. I mean, if I like, don't get me wrong, I appreciate a lot of genres of music. I really like techno in particular, actually, but I don't know, something about making it. I've tried many times before to make it, and it just doesn't fit with me somehow. So I don't really like. I've considered maybe making like a little side rack or something like that for drums that I only use at home or things like that if I wanted to mess around, but I never really got to that point. So. But yeah, and then I want a good variety of voices, not necessarily that all plug in at once, but good variety, again, focused on the live aspect of, I want to be able to have some voices like pre-patched that I can switch to and things like that, so that I'm not having to, crazy patch on the fly. But I'm also not entirely opposed to that. I wanted a mixer that had a cue functionality, which I haven't really used yet, but I want to, so that I can, if I'm going live, I can add something new in check it on cue, make it sound good, bring it in, or whatever else I might end up doing. So yeah, that's, I don't know, that's kind of the general philosophy. It's not done yet. There's still, like I said, I need a switch. I want a sequential, or like a matrix mixer, so something like I'm looking at the maze, but there's a whole bunch of different ones where you got like 4 ins, 4 outs, and then you can combine them in different ways and like switch between presets. So those 2 things I'm still waiting to get. What else is gonna be in here? I'm moving my ornament and crime up here. The Tet is the biggest thing. I've also got a dedicated crossfader coming in so that I can do some more of that live. So yeah, that's kind of the general idea. Okay, so need to find where I put that. Where did I put it? None of this looks right. Oop. I found it last time. It was in a really weird place where I'd put in the where I'd put my kalimba sample. Don't want to have to re-record it, but I guess I could. Where the heck did I put it? Must have just... Alright, we're gonna have to go through this one by one. Let's... Oh, I feel like maybe it was in here. No, this is... No. No, I didn't put it in here either. Guess we'll just go through this one by one until I find it. Yeah, that's what I should put in there, right? That sounds ambient. Don't think it was in any of these demos. That was where the solar ping came from. I already checked this one. We already checked this one. Man, what the heck did I do with this? Is there a fan somewhere in my room? There is a vent. Why are you getting some... I'm guessing it might be... Do you still hear it? That was it. Yeah. It's the background drone from this thing. This is from the CSL. Yeah. Alright, let's keep going to see if I can find this damn thing. Apparently I've just like scattered things all over this.
Donald.
Alright, well we could get a similar sort of sound out of a single hit, so let's just do that. Oops. Ah, crap. You Thank you. Okay. Record this again. One shot and no, it didn't actually record long enough. Set that. Let's just put something random in there. Why not? Okay. Okay, so now we'll make this wet. See how that sounds. It's not quite the same, but when you get your Morphagene, the thing that you'll hate the most is tuning this thing so it turns green. Oh, it's such a pain. Come on, stay. Yes! It's close. Not quite what I had before, but turns clipping. Okay. So we've got that. What else? We have part 2. That have okay. I think we're close to back where we started here. It's just like modular space 1 space 20. Yeah, there we go. It definitely needed some resonance. I remember that from last time too. Now we have to shut the gain down a bit on that. Okay. Yeah. Resonance gets a little bit out of control sometimes when you're adding in some of the ring stuff. Oh, don't blow out our eardrums now. Yeah, it gets intense at resonance all the way up. It's all good. I accepted this risk when I sent this to resonance. It's a dangerous one. Okay, so my thoughts for playing this so far was that We would start out with fading in the drone, probably. I still feel like it needs a bit more modulation to it, but we'll... Maybe I should hook up some planar to it. It's tough because we're just taking it raw, straight out, mixing it. Right, and then through Squawk Dirty, we can modulate high pass filter, but all that's going to give us is cutting off the drone, basically. Yeah, that's definitely. I'm just trying to think of what I want to influence. Right now we have 2 channels of marbles that are influencing the index, which is essentially like how much is the upper oscillator modulating the lower oscillator, and the wave width, which sort of gives you that little bit of difference in the sort of harshy noise end of it, but it needs something else. We definitely need Cabin Fever where it was. Modulate the volume, but that's of no real help. And the other thing is the dry wet, but I mean, I suppose that I could burn Q-Pass on this too, because it feels like some kind of band pass would be interesting. Well, let's try it. I don't like using so many modules on one sound, but see. Okay, so we don't want, actually we want the smile pass, not band pass, because smile pass gives it a little boost. Probably less resonance. Let's look at just this. Okay, so now if we were to send LFOs into the rotates, definitely needs less resonance, or it's going to sound spacey. Then be careful about modulating the frequency, but we might be able to modulate the secondary frequency. Okay, let's try a few things we'll do. So right now we're very unclocked, because we're not actually playing patterns through any of these things. We're just using vector signatures as a keyboard. So we might have to run PAMs unclocked from the main sequencer too. A lot quieter than I would have expected now too. Yeah, okay. Okay, so let's take some things from PAMs. Find a way of getting this damn webcam to stay more together. The mount that I've got it on rotates because it's meant to be a microphone boom, but it's not really what I want. Okay, so PAMs. Let's just reset some waves here. Let's take a random as you suggested. Random with not too much, random, not too much level. The cable is directly in the way of seeing what I'm doing. Can you, out of curiosity, can you read this LED screen a little better? like 60% or something like that. Changing pretty frequently, but let's see where that gets us to. Now random value in this case is not going to be slewed, so it might be a little abrupt, but we can always put it through a slew control and see what we get first. Curious about the second frequency on QPass. Too small. Okay, good to know. That's one of the disadvantages about streaming, I think, is that it's hard to get really high resolution so that you can actually see what's going on. It's like I need like 27 webcams, each one of them like right up against one of these modules. That's not bad with into the main frequency of QPass with only a little bit like allowed in from the attenuator. Varying things up a little bit. Let's send some other stuff into that rotate. So we'll take another output. Set it. Let's use I've never tried this on Pam's new workout before. It has an input mode where the input, like the wave that it's using, is coming in from one of the CV inputs. I don't exactly know what that does, to be honest. I don't know. Let's patch something in here and see. Maybe this smooth random output from marbles into CV1. Maybe we need like an audio source? I don't know, okay. An audio source we could use. Yeah, really. Even after you've read the manuals, I still am going back to things and being like, I don't remember what that is, especially on the more complex modules, right? So, audio. We could split morphogenes out. Run out of cables. Okay, that would go into there, and then we'll take the other part of it. Oops. And let's see if this gives us a wave. No, okay. Alright. That's going to require more manual reading, I think. Thought maybe we'd get something cool out of it, but it doesn't appear like it. Oh well. Yes. I don't claim to have even be anywhere near close. Rainmaker is immensely complicated. And has some... Wait till you get it and start scrolling through the presets. Some of them are really nice sounding, and some of them are like just like otherworldly bizarre, or like super noisy, or there's even a preset in there that is called 135 that creates a 135 chord out of things, but it uses every single tap and it makes this really dense, weird sound. Okay, so we're not going to use a wave. We're going to let's do a triangle, sure. Maybe a little slower of a triangle. Let's try divide 4. And we'll send that. Let's do the little trick I've done in the past where you send it into the radiate on one side, mult that to the radiate, or rotate rather, radiate on the other side. a bit more randomness to this wave, I think. I can't remember if our skip does anything in waves. Don't think it does. But I could set the phase of this wave from another CV value. So we will send in. Let's mult out the original random value we were using. Send this into CV1. Yeah, there we go. So now we've got a triangle that's being randomly shifted in phase by another CV. Yeah, maths has so many things you can do with it, but I don't know, maths, it never really clicked for me just because it was too much of like a basic building block, I guess. It was hard to like, to, I don't know, to interact with it because it was just, it's such a small piece that can do so many things that it's kind of overwhelming in a way, and it's huge. Maths is huge. It can do a lot, but it really is big. And like a lot of the functions in maths, I didn't, at least at the time I had it, I didn't know whether I was going to use or if I didn't even know what they did. So personally, I think maths is something that you need to like, you need to know what you're doing in modular, understand all the things it can do, know that you would need to use all the things that it can do, and then you get it. But yeah, especially in the setup that you have when you're 2 rows and you're doing 10 modules, it makes sense. Like, you've got to be relatively conservative, especially if you're looking at it exclusively from an FX perspective. Yeah. What else? What do you have for modulation? Again, I don't remember if you mentioned what you had for modulation. I think that I am going to slew this. Turn down the slew rate a little bit, because I think it'll sound better not jumping between values. Force frequency 2. I don't know, so this is with a little bit of negative attenuation. And then here's with positive attenuation. And here's negative again. Can't decide. I think I like negative attenuation better. Alright, so that's given a little more life to our drone, so that's good. Let's just make sure it still sounds good in context here. Because now, of course, rings is also going through that. Oops, that was out of tune, sorry. It still sounds pretty good, although I am debating about rings coming through that left input again. I had this debate in the last stream about whether I wanted it to come through the left input and always be left-sided, because it sounded really good. And when you pull it out, the drone changes sounds too. Gets a little more harsh. You have a BPM generator, an eloquencer. Yeah, I used to have an eloquencer. And for one, a Morphagene, a black stereo mixer, shuttle control merge, R-bar shapeshifter. Remind me, shuttle control is an envelope generator? Is that right? I can't remember. MIDI interface. Okay, okay. Yeah, that's the only thing about what you've got there is it doesn't seem like you have a huge amount of modulation. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah. See, now the drone, I don't like it as much. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. That's one of the other modules that I'm going to get and put in this slot here is a Zadar, because it generates all sorts of crazy like envelopes that can then be looped into like weird LFOs that you kind of sculpt yourself and whatnot. I'm really looking forward to that one. So that's one option. The other option is pulling that. And having it on its own channel. I think that it sounds better still going through the whole effect chain that the drone does. Yeah, the detune's probably coming from here. The lo-fi junkie. Okay, let's... now I'm... Because the thing that I don't necessarily like about this is that you get... It's continuously left-sided. And I wish I could shift that in the stereo landscape, but I don't have anything that would allow me to pan other than the performance mixer right now. I mean, I could use the disting, but I need it as a switch, so... Yeah, I mostly debate like the difference in sound between the drone here and then the drone here. Because in one case it's taking it only as a left-sided channel, in the other case it's converting it mono to stereo. Too low volume? Yeah, it is pretty quiet actually. It is. Checking my inputs. If I go too high, it gets noisy, so... Let's... Okay, what about... All that really does is... Yeah, that is interesting. You're right. I can see starting. Oh, I could see starting the drone. And then adding it in. Yeah, right? This turned out way more creepier than I intended. Just gotta figure out this sound now. 'Cause it's... Okay, well, let's see if I can... Let's go back to the original here. Let's see about what we can do with that ring sound, because I'm liking this better now without having to shove rings through the left-sided input of that whole chain. But rings need something. It's too much. Alright, what is our chain again right now? We have the bird sound out through the rings resonator, through Lo-Fi Junkie into the switch, out to the mixer. Volt per octave is there. Maybe we can just adjust some of Ring's parameters. We might get something a little nicer. I had the dampening up, but that was for a good reason, I think. But let's just see. Position now. And that makes this a breakup. Interesting. The possibility is shape. Oh yeah? Like what? Yeah, that's fair. Needs to be less in some way. Maybe we should, maybe after the Lo-Fi Junkie, we'll drop it in through a VCA just so that I can turn the volume down a little bit. I think that the 2HP VCA will do what I want. I really did not intend for this to turn out so creepy, but it really is ending up that way. Okay, that's a bit better. Mess with that shape some more. It's nice, the fifths, well, it's not really a fifth and seventh because I think Rings is tuning it into some other creepy thing, but it sort of works. You have to get like a sequence or something of that going, but... And that alongside the alternative, which is this, that I want to switch into to sort of practice this whole live set kind of thingy. And we've got the we stretch this sound more with Rainmaker. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Pre or post Lo-Fi Junkie? Let's try pre. You know, let's try post Lo-Fi Junkie because we really want the repeats to... Well... No. Well, because... Yeah, no, we gotta do it after Lo-Fi Junkie because the output of Lo-Fi Junkie is in mono. And we wouldn't want to lose that. Although we may want this to actually be mono anyway, but yeah, I think so. Let's just set up the routing. We'll say delay into comb, but mono left. Well, we got the preset that you had set up. Let's see. The chord doesn't work, but the idea is there. So let's do a different bit of a pitch shift here. Oops. Yeah, that's with the little bass note thing that we added, so let's see. I think it needs to not be major. And possibly not a seventh, too. Let's try this being down 7 semitones. I don't know that the down ones are actually hearable. Audible? Hearable. Not quite. Might need to keep the minor key out of it and just use a fifth. Am I still getting pitch shifts? That's weird. I should only be pitch shifting. Oh no, because of the feed. No, the feedback's off, so... And we've got the comb filter off, right? Yeah, let's I'm gonna turn off these extra tabs. How about that? Mute those 3 tabs. Weird. Why is it still pitch shifting? Yeah, can you hear it pitch shifting? That's strange. It shouldn't be. You're muted. So many of the taps here. I could, yeah. I mean, the drone is just playing straight out of the vector sequencer. But let me just see if I can make this any better here first. No semitones, 7 semitones. If we don't pitch shift it at all, does it do what I expected? There must be some amount of feedback going on. Let's turn off some of these tabs. Let's set them up as closer. I don't want it to be that rhythmic. Reversing it. That's one thing you will find, by the way, with Rainmaker is that its reverse mode seems to be very clicky. Not quite sure why, but yeah, it is. Let's play with some of the presets for this. Maybe that'll give us a bit of inspiration, and then you get to see some of the presets for it too. Nope. None of these. Okay. Panner is cool in stereo, but not really useful here. Well, that's actually cool. It doesn't fit at all, but yeah. Here's the 251 preset. Makes an interesting chord. Not really, Those are cool, but they extend it too much. I don't want this to be another drone necessarily. Oh yeah, right? That's obviously the answer. That's not really going to be helpful. Double resonator, let's do that. Woodwind, interesting. Too random. Oh, some Carplus strong synthesis. Considering that's already done in rings. Way too much. A little too long. Weird. There is, yes. Insects is in a good one. We're not going to find anything that I really like out of this, because I don't really want to extend this sound necessarily. This one. This, especially in this particular sequence, actually. definitely has some possibilities. The CSL is what's making the drone. That's the instro here. Yeah. Okay, so we've got this. Right, and then we like adding this. That we eventually fade out into. To fade it more slowly, but then we can switch over to playing. But this might not work as well as it used to because this is much higher pitched than before. Yeah, which we have been modulating that whole thing, but it's tough because if you modulate it too much, the CSL can be a really crazy module. Mess with the super ego for a moment, it's not picking up. Yes, very much so. Half the time I'm like, wow, that's cool. I'll never duplicate that again. Okay, this is good. This is turn level clips every so often, but the idea is there of what I want to transition into. So, like this with this, but we're transitioning into that from somewhere that's around like this with these. Gotta figure out this transition. I think I need this sequence. I can't be playing it where it's gonna be too much of a pain, which means we need to figure out the pitches of all these and get them constant. So if we were having that playing constantly, and then eventually we have to shift in this. Supposed to have this and they're supposed to fill able to fade that in quite the way I want because it's very upfront sound. Bring this in. With the start. Then I need something else now. Too many modules you have you don't understand very well, so you don't have a precise understanding of what's happening. Yeah, it's pretty typical. But if you have any questions, like ask, totally ask. Does rainmaker allow you to trigger switching to a specific preset? Funny you should ask. I did a stream on that a while back, and yes and no. So what you can do in Rainmaker is you can set up where is it again? On the routing and config page, you probably can't really see, but on the routing and config page, which is this top button, you can set up the trigger, and you can set the trigger to load the preset. So you send a gate in, it loads the preset, but then you also need to go in and set up one of the mod inputs to choose the preset. So you need two control voltages going in a gate to load the preset, CV to choose the preset. And just to be forewarned, switching between presets usually involves a bunch of popping or clicking or grossness. It's not smooth by any means. If you were using it to like play some audio through, there's no audio coming through, switch presets, play more audio through, it's good. But otherwise I found it's not. It's similar to the Milky Way scratch, like sliding between presets doesn't really work in the way you'd expect it to. I wish that it was like a slewable change, right? But I mean, it would need to be able to run two algorithms at once to be able to do that. So this thing can barely hold on to one algorithm at once sometimes, I think so. But yeah. Okay, so in the 6 minutes I've got before I gotta go, let's see if we can come up with the beginnings of a second sound for this. So we've now transitioned. So the drone remains, right? That's still here in the background. We just cut the resonance on the final part of the filter. We've got Morphagene through Superego making this drone. We're playing, we'll obviously sequence this eventually, but we're playing that little solar ping, they call it. And now we need something else to start coming in here. So let's do something I haven't done before. Let's do telharmonic, but let's do it through clouds. Yes, so much is already in use. Yeah, I want to be able to build this out into more of a live set thing, so that I can play around with it for a while, transition into this other one, play around with it for a while, and then at some point while this is playing, I want to either be able to do a simple repatch to move into something else, or eventually when I get my maze, switch into another preset so everything gets dynamically repatched and I can try something else. But yeah. Okay, so telharmonic into clouds. How about that? For doing that, we need. We'll have the keyboard connected for this. Not likely. I probably, if I need a keyboard, I'll use the Vector Sequencer's keyboard for it, most likely. So, let's put Telharmonic in analog shift register mode. It's my favorite. And for now, let's just get an output going here. We can come out of clouds in stereo. Do we want to? Debatable. We'll just come out of mono for now. Well, obviously, too much gain on that. Alright, we'll come out of clouds just into another channel. Why are we so left panned out? Because I've panned it left, or panned it left. It's already nice, but I mean, I don't want another drone, really. So, just to make this change in the few minutes we got left, I'm going to quickly patch up a D-gate and degree. So basically, this will make it, this will make Telharmonic. Telharmonic has 3 voices. It'll make the 3 voices shift in a shift register, so they'll shift between each other and sort of, the first one will choose a new one, its note will get shifted to the second voice gets shifted to the third voice, etc. And it all stays in key in a particular chord. That's what Telharmonic's good at. So, crap, what are we going to take this from? Let's, some longer cables. Thanks, yeah, this was a fun one. Alright, we'll take some random values out of our noise. I'll listen to this on its own. Channel 4. How is this making such a good drone already? I must have clouds in a good mode. I think I did. Degree should be changing here though. With D-gate, and it's not. Just take this. The cloud's raw here. Alright, it'll be loud. No, it is doing its thing. It's just clouds has its reverb in it and is mangling everything and making it into a very nice sounding drone. Manual to remember again, but basically when you set the interval and degree in this mode, it sets what kind of chord and the inversion of the chord that you're getting. Yeah, it probably will. I need to let's use shift tonic to do that. This guy right here, tonic, is like your root. To bring up the manual. I don't have time, but we just put this back through the clouds again because that was sounding pretty cool actually. In context with everything else. Getting a little muddy, but it was like if we were to cut I caught the original drone. Even this is pretty good. And the chord shifts Intel harmonic through clouds is giving something cool. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is about time that I take off, unfortunately. But yeah, this was a good one. And thanks so much for sticking around for the whole thing and for all your suggestions. That was really it's nice to have some more interaction. As that's half the reason I do this, is no one in my area really does modular stuff, so it's really cool. So yeah, so I might have mentioned this before, but I am going to drop. I'm not going to be doing my Monday streams anymore, just because it's been there's a lot of other content by other people that are either doing modular on Twitch or are doing other hardware music production on Twitch on Mondays, and I don't want to step on their toes. So the next time you'll see me will be on Wednesday evening. So hopefully you can make it for that. If not, you can always check this out on YouTube. It'll be posted 24 hours afterwards. And yeah, if you ever have any questions, then feel free to like DM me on Twitch or leave comments on the videos. I'm happy to answer things, and I'd love to hear what you come up with once you're done. Oh, are you in the EU or something? Yeah. I think that the ones that I do during one that I do during the week is like 7 p.m. is something like midnight or later over there. So I doubt you'll make it to that, but we'll see. Anyway, yeah, take care. Thanks everyone. We'll probably continue with this next time because this is getting closer and closer to something I can play. So take it easy. We'll see you on Wednesday, or if not, next Saturday. Now let's see if there's anyone else around first that I could send you to that's got some interesting stuff. Nope. As usual, I'm the only one on this time. Yep, you have a good day too. Talk to you later.